got LAB03 through Moodle class, right? You can download LAB03 LAB03 sheets through your Moodle class. Uh, right. Today we are going to discuss about something important because this LAB03 task will help you to do your many projects, right? So therefore, please listen these things very carefully, right? It will more helpful you to do your many projects, right? Today we are going to discuss about database and HTML, right? We are going to create a database, and again we are going to create a interface, right? That interface will be created using HTML, and you can open it in your browser, right? It's like a web page. So then using that web page, we are going to pass user information to your database, right? So to connect those two, we are going to use PHP, right? I will tell you how to create a database and how to create a web page using HTML and how to make a relationship between those two using PHP, right? I think I am very clear to you, right? If you have any question, feel free to ask me, right? So did you all get the lab sheet?
Good morning, madam.
Yes, good morning.
Sorry to disturb you, madam. Any important things did you tell in the first few minutes, because I had a signal issue and couldn't connect with few minutes ago. Any important things did you mention?
No, I was saying that today we are going to discuss about the very important points. These things are very important to you because these things you can, using these things, you can do your mini project. That's what I explained.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Right. Right. I think you can see there are few sheets in your Moodle class, right? Please go through all the sheets, right? So, and one more thing, to do this, we have to have a database, local database. You can have XML, XAMPP, or you can have WAMP server. It doesn't matter, right? So today I will use WAMP server. First of all, you have to install WAMP server into your machine, right? So I will, you can simply search it in your browser, in your web. So then you can download it and you can install it into your machine. Some instructions are given in the Moodle class. You can follow it, right? Right. Before going to in detail, right? Okay, let's discuss about this thing, right? So I think you know these things, right? So can you tell me what is a primary?
Student registration number.
Right. Student registration number is a primary key for this database. Can you tell me a general introduction about primary key? What is a primary key in general?
A specific identification with its ideal number sort of thing.
primary key is a unique thing, right? It is used to ensure data in the specific column is unique, right? And this primary key column cannot have null value, right? Yeah. This primary key cannot be null, right? So this is some notation. So you can identify primary key. Always we are underlining the right. We normally we are represent it like this, right? Here you can see this STREG number is underlined, right? So that's how we can identify the primary key. In the course table, also we have another primary key, which is C underscore code. So here you can see we have underlined it, right? That's how we can identify it in kind of a diagram, right? So is it clear? These all these things are discussed in day school 3 as well, I think, right? So you have idea about this, right? And next thing is foreign key. So can you tell me what is foreign key? Any idea? Any guesses?
A key that connects two different databases.
Let me correct it like this. It is not a two different databases. It is two different tables, right? Okay. So here, foreign key is a column or group of columns in a relational database that provides a link between data in two tables, right? So it's a column that reference a column of another table. So here in this diagram, right? So you can see this STREG number is the primary key for this student table, right? So again, so there is another table which is marks, right? So you can see in this table also this STREG number is a primary key, right? So you know how to identify that, right? So this is also a primary key for this marks table, right? Right. So same column, right? This is a primary key, and when it comes to marks, it is this field also another primary key, right? So now you can see the connection of these two tables. In student table, student registration number is a column, and that is the primary key. When it comes to the marks table, we can see that same column, and it is also primary key. If we have a primary key in one table and in the other table, if we have same field as a primary key, right? So this second primary key known as a foreign key. Clear? Is that clear? මේ student table එකේ primary key කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා, right? So ඒකේ primary key එක student registration number. අපි marks table එකට එනකොට marks table එකේ අපිට ඒ column එකම තියෙනවා student registration number, right? and that is the ඒකත් primary key එකක්. අපි දන්නවා මේ notation එකේදී primary key හඳුනගන්නේ primary key එක යටින් underline එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So here also this student registration number කියන එක primary key. පළවෙනි table එකේ student registration number කියන එක primary key එකක් වෙනවා. second table එකට එනකොට ඒකත් primary key එකක් වෙනවා. එතකොට පළවෙනි table එකේ primary key එකක් වෙන එක ඊළඟ table එකේ primary key එකක් වෙනවා නම් අපි මේ දෙවෙනි එකට කියනවා foreign key එකක් කියලා. පැහැදිලිද?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
මිස් ඒ
So
කියන්නේ tables දෙකක් අතර connection එකක් තියෙන primary keys වලට තමයි අපි foreign key එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. දැන් second table එකේ එක තමයි foreign key එකක් විදිහට ගන්න. පළවෙනි එක නෙමෙයි දෙවෙනි එක.
එතකොට මිස් අපි
දැන් මේ student
C code කියන එකත්
ඔව්.
foreign key එකක් විදිහට ගත්තේ
ඔව්.
ඒක තුන්වෙනි table එකේ
නෑ
primary key.
තුන්වෙනි එකේ ඒක තුන්වෙනි එකේ උනාට මේ table එකේනේ එයා මෙතනනේ මේ course කියන table එකේනේ එයා primary key එකක් විදිහට වැඩ කරන්නේ. අරකට යනකොට මෙතන ඔයාලට පේනවනේ primary keys කීපයක් තියෙනවා.
ඔව්.
එතකොට මෙයා තමයි primary key එක. එයා reference වෙන්නේ මේ අනිත් එක්කෙනාට. මෙතන අපිට එක primary key එකක් නෙවෙයිනේ. දැන් මෙයානේ මෙතන නිකන් ලොක්කා වගේ ඉන්නේ. තේරෙනවද මං කියන්නේ? පැහැදිලිද?
හරි මිස්.
Hi. So there is another primary foreign key which is course code, right? So in the course table you can see there is a primary key which is course code, and when it comes to the marks table, same field you can see that as the primary key. Yeah, LAB03 will be held in another day. Yes. This is also primary key, right? So one primary key and another primary key. So you can see the relationship between these two tables as well, right? So, and this, yeah, online. And this course code again will be a foreign key, right? And so here you can see, you can see set of primary keys inside this marks table. All these primary keys we can call it as the composite, right? So those are some in definition, right? So before I am moving to the practical, you should know these things, right? Next thing is, let me clear. Right, let's create this database, right? So I told you that you have to can you see my desktop, my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here you can see WAMP server, right? This is the application I'm going to use to create my database, right? So here you can see like pink color icon, right? So you can just download and install it, right? So WAMP server, right? What you have to do is once you download and install it into your machine, right? Just double click. Right, then you will get, I don't know whether you can see that message or not, right? Can you see some message in my screen?
No, madam.
Okay. Once you double click it, you will get some message. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device, right? So press yes, right? Click on the yes, right? Once you click yes, it will take a few times. Then I think you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in my desktop. And bottom toolbar, right? There is a up arrow, right? When you click on that, right here, you can see this green color icon. Can you see?
Yes, madam.
Okay, this is a local server, all services run. So normally, when you click on the WAMP server, double click on WAMP server, and you have to press yes button in the dialog box. So then, at the beginning, this icon display in red, right? So when it run application inside the some application inside this application, red turn into orange, then it turn into green. Once it turn into green, you can work with that, right? So then you can click on that, right? You will get this kind of a menu, right? Then go to PHP admin, my admin, right? I will click on that. Then it will open in your browser, right? Let me share my browser.
Yes, madam.
Okay, it when you click on that green icon and choose PHP myadmin, so then it will open it in your browser. Normally, we are giving username for the PHP myadmin is root, and we are not going to give any password, right? Uh, right. So then click on go. Right. So this is your machine's local server, right? So inside this, we are going to create our database, right? Right. So when you go to the database, you can see whatever the database existing in your machine, right? So if you install it just now, you won't have several because it's new, right? In my case, I have a lot of database I have created already, right? So now we are going to create a database, right? Let me share my lab sheet, right? So in this lab sheet, you can see. Okay, can you tell me what is a database? What is our database name?
Student info.
Yes, our database name is student info, right? Okay, let's create our database student info. I will, yeah, I can. I'm recording this session, and you can find the recording in the Moodle. You can use online compiler to create this, but I think you cannot create whole application. That's the thing. You can it separately, it doesn't matter, but I have a doubt, how can you going to combine this web page to this database? I think you can do it separately, but you cannot be able to combine. That's the thing. Right. So here we are in database section, right? So now I am going to create our database, right?
මිස් මේ රෙකෝඩින් එක අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවද?
Oh, Moodle එකට දාන්න. Right. First I will give database name. Remember, you have to give correct name, right? I will copy whatever in the date lab sheet because I don't want to get any errors in my, right? So it is student info, right? When you're creating a database name, right? Please make sure that no any space, comma, like those things, right? So if you want to separate these things, I think it's better if you can have underscore, right? In this case, I will use as it is, right? So as the collation, you can use UTF. Okay, you can have UTF-8 general CI. We used it because it can make only one-to-one comparison between characters. That's why we are having it, right? So then you can click on this create, right?
Hello.
Yeah, we'll click on that. Can you mute your mic? We are disturbing. Right. So here you can see local databases. Now I am in the database which I created a moment before, right? So my database in student info. So I am in that database. So now I have to create tables, right? So according to our lab sheet, right? So we have 3 tables, right? Student, marks, and course, right? So in this sheet, we have given you all the instruction, right? One-to-one, creating a database, creating a tables, all those things, right? So I will tell you how to create a table. So first I am going to create a table student, right? So in the student table, okay, look at this table. In this table, I have 6 fields, right? With 1 primary key, right? So I will copy this, right? Student. In collation, I select UTF-8 underscore general underscore CI. All the information in the lab sheet, right? You can find it there. It's because this UTF-8 underscore general CI make only one-to-one comparison between characters. That's why we select that. Right. So now we are going to create our database. First table student. I will copy it. And remember, we have 6 fields, right? Let me go to my database. Right. In here, under the name, you can give table name, right? Student table. So how many columns are there?
6.
Yes, we have 6 columns, right? So I will change it. And here you can see go button, right? So then click on the go button, right? Then you can see you will be directed to this kind of interface, right? So this is the place where we going to give the table details, right? Okay. Our first field is ST underscore registration number. I will copy it from the lab sheet, right? I will paste it here. ST underscore REG underscore number, right? And you can see in the lab sheet, right? Field type int. So what is int? I know you know these things. Just to remember, what is int?
Integer.
Yes, we can represent integers by using data type int, right? So field type is integer and we have 4 length and we make it as a primary key, right? Let's do it. Type integer and length is 4, right? So then next
ලෙන්ත් එක
thing,
4 වුණේ කොහොමද?
nah, it doesn't matter. You can give any length. So here we give, you can give 4 length of number for the registration. It doesn't matter. You can define the length of the field. If you want to have more than that, you can have more length. It doesn't matter. It's up to you to decide, right? So then next thing is, it is very important, which is we have to create this ST registration number, student registration number as our primary key for this table, right? To create this field as primary key, here you can see index, right? When you click on this drop down, right, you can see primary, unique, index, so many things. So what we want is to make this as a primary key. I will click on that and you will get this dialog box. Can you see this dialog box?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then just click on the go, right? When you press go, here you can see this field get primary under the index, right? So now we have make this field as the primary key for this student table, right? So is it clear up to now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next thing is next field, which is ST name, student name, right? So student name and field is in Vacha. So what is Vacha?
Variable character.
Okay, variable character. So I am giving length as a 45, right? In case you can have 45 characters, right? Right. So next thing is ST name And here you can select varchar and you can give the length. And so next thing is date of birth and data type is date, right? So when you select type as a date, no need to give a length because it will SQ will know the length of date. I mean, how many lengths are there, which means 4 space 4 year and dash, and 2 space 4 month dash, and 2 space 4 date, right? So no need to give the length. It will they can manage. And next thing is gender, right? So here we are going to give the gender as a cha. So what is the difference between Vasha and cha? What is the difference between Vacha and cha? No one knows?
Cha maybe is character, single character.
Yes.
Vacha
Cha
is a string.
Yeah, you're correct. Cha means one character. So if you give data type as a cha, which means you can have only one character. In this case, you can have MOF, right? You cannot have more than one character for this gender, right? So in this case, we are having Vacha, which means set of characters, right? You can have several number of characters, right? Right? What? Next thing is,
Excuse me.
yes,
What's the difference between Vacha and text? I saw text also.
not more difference, but it's depend on the length, limitation of length. That's the difference.
Okay.
And next thing is address. And Vacha, so 60 characters. And the other one is one, right. So now we have given all the information related to our data, our table student, right? So there is one more thing, right? So which is here you can see storage engine, right? You have to create, you have to select InnoDB as the storage engine, because after creating all these 3 tables, we are going to create a relationship between these tables. Therefore, it is compulsory to have this storage engine as a InnoDB, right? So once you fill or select all these information correctly, right? So then you can scroll it and you can save your table. Yeah, I will save my table. Right. Now, so now I have my table, right? If you want to make any changes, you can go click on this change and you can do the changes, but please make sure do it at one very first time, one time, right? Okay. So when you look at the name in this field, right? So I think you can identify the primary key because inside this student registration number, you can see the key, right? So this is our primary key page, right? So now I have created one table, right? Likewise, let's create the other table. For that, here you can see a flow, right? I will go to the database student info, right? I will click on that, right? So now I am in my database. So inside that database, I have one table. So let me create the other second table, which is course, right? So in course table, right? In course table, we have 4 fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Let me copy this, right? And let's create the second table, courses, and we have 4 columns. And click on the go, right? Okay, now we have to give table information, right? I will copy information from the left sheet. First thing is postcode, right? With VACHA and 7 letters, 7 characters and primary key, right? And course code, VACHA, length is 7 and it is our primary key. So you know how to make this field as the primary key. Under index drop down, you can see primary, click on that. Then you will get add index dialog box and think you can see that box name.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, click on the go, right? It will make it as the primary key, right? So then the other field, course title, C underscore title, Vacha 40. Right? Then go to Vacha and 40. And next thing is course credit and int, and here we can represent it 1. And last thing is course level, int 1, right? Int 1. Okay, now I have given all the information. So there is one more thing to do. Can you remember that?
Storage engine.
Yeah, we have to select storage engine, right? That is in InnoDB. Once you do all the things, you can save your table, right? Okay, so you can see our table, right? So this is our primary. Again, I will move to the database info, student info, right? So now you can see we have 2 tables inside this student info database, right? So there is one more table to be create. So I will create that one also. With that is marks. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so next thing is marks table, right? So this table also have 4 fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have 3 primary keys. Student registration number, course code is the primary key, registration year is the primary key, right? So, right, let's create this table, right? First thing is we have to create a table first. right? I will copy the table name and right. So now I'm going to give it as the table name, and we have 4 columns, and you can click on the go. Right. Now we have to given the information for this marks table. Right. I will copy the first field name, student registration number, type is int, size is 4, and it is a primary key. Right. Student registration number, int, 4, and it is a primary key. Right. You know how to do this, right? We did it several times. Okay. I will create it as a primary key. Right. Next thing is course code. Course code Bacha 7. Course code Bacha 7. It is also a primary key. Right. The other thing is registration year, date, and that field you know need to give, and we have to make it as the primary key. Right. One more field to be field, which is marks int 3. Marks int 3, and we have to select storage engine as a DB. Right. Then we give all the information very clear and correctly. Right. So then I will save this table. Right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Don't we have to mention somewhere the foreign key also, or it will identify itself?
Foreign key, ne?
Yeah. So will it identify itself, or we should?
Now we can make it as a foreign key. I will come to next, right?
Okay.
So okay, now I am in the marks table. When I go to the database student info, you can see there are 3 tables, right? We created all of them, right? If you are with your machine or laptop, I can give you time to create this. If you want time to make your database, I can give you. Okay, do you have any questions so far? මොනවම හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවද දැන් මෙතනට එනකන් කරපු දේ? අපි database එකක් create කරා student info කියලා. ඒ student info කියන database එකට අපි tables 3ක් create කරා. Student, marks, course කියලා, right? Student table එක ගත්තොත් student table එකට අපිට තියෙනවා fields 6ක්. මේ student registration number කියන එක තමයි primary key වෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේම අපේ ඊළඟ table එක course table එකේ course code කියන එක තමයි primary key වෙන්නේ. In the other table, marks table එකේදී අපිට you can use, but we recommend you to use WAMP server or exam. Right. in the marks table එකේදී අපිට fields 4ක් තියෙනවා. ඒ fields 4ෙදී අපි fields 3ක් primary key විදිහට අරගෙන තියෙනවා. Right. So lab sheet එකේ විදිහට අපි ගොඩක් දේවල් database එකේ දැන් කරලා ඉවරයි.
Excuse
තව
me.
එක දෙයක් අපිට yes
Miss marks table එකේ මේ foreign key plus primary key
ඔව්,
කියලා
ඔව්.
තියෙනවා. එතකොට අපි දෙන්න ඕන primary key එක විතරද?
නෑ හරි primary key එක විතරයි දැනට දෙන්නේ. මම දැන් ඊළඟට දෙන්නේ foreign key එක හදන්න.
හරි okay.
Right. So yeah, you can use exams as well. Right.
Madam, excuse me, madam, මේ වීඩියෝ එක ඊළඟ එක දානවද?
ඔව් ඔව්.
හරි madam, thank you.
අපි මේ database එක හදන එකේ ගොඩක් දේවල් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. අපිට බැරි වෙච්ච එකම දේ මේ primary keys හදන එක විතරයි. So we have to do one more thing. Except this primary foreign key, we have done all the things, right? So what we have to do is to create relationship between these tables, right? So you can see there is a relationship between this primary key and this source code with this, right? So when you create this relationship, right, we have done our database completely, right? Here, let me clear and share my database again, right? Okay, so now I'm going to create the foreign key, right? To create the foreign key, you have to go to inside your database, right? Foreign key හදන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ database එක ඇතුළට යන්න, right? I will click on this, right? So in this flow, you can see the place where you were in at the moment, right? So now I am inside my database, right? So my database is student info, and inside this student info database, we have 3 tables, right? In this bar, you can see design, right? So click on that, right? So you will get your tables like this, right? So we have created 3 tables, and you can see those tables, right? And you can see the primary keys, and this hash will represent the integers value, and again calendar will represent the date, and this kind of thing will chart, right? All good. So now we have to create a relationship. So with student table, student registration number, with marks table, student registration number, there is the relation, right? First, I'm going to create that relationship, right? So in this sidebar, you can see create relation, right? So click on that. Then you will get the mouse pointer as a select reference key. Reference key is student registration number, right? Go to there and click on this field, right? So now I will click on that. Focus on the mouse pointer message, right? So now I will click, right? When I click on that, you can see message change, right? It changed to select foreign key. So where is my foreign key?
Marks table.
Yeah, my foreign key is marks table student registration number, right? You have to click on the correct field, right? Now I will click and focus on the mouse pointer message, right? So now, right? When I click on that, right, you will get create relation foreign key. On delete, select no action. On update, select no action. So then click on the OK and right. Now you can see the relation. Can you?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Likewise, we can create relationship between course table and marks table, right? To create that relationship, same as earlier, you can click on this create relation, right? So mouse pointer will get select reference key. So I will click course table C underscore code. So then mouse pointer message will change to select foreign key. So then you have to select your foreign key. So my foreign key is in the marks table C underscore code, right? Click on that, then you will get create relation foreign key. On delete, no action. On update, no action, and click on the OK. Right. So now, yeah, let me arrange it in proper. Right. So now you can see the relationship, right? So now we have create our database fully. So is it clear about create a database? Is it clear so far? Okay, sounds good. Right. So now we have done one part, right? So now we have create our database. Now we have, right, it's almost done, right? So next thing is, at the beginning, I told you that we are going to create a database and we are going to create a web page, and then we are going to combine those two, right? So next thing is we have to create our web page, right? To create the web page, have you created web page earlier? Okay. Okay. Enough. Right. Right. So we are going to create a web page. Right. So to create the web page, we are going to use HTML as our language, right? Okay. When you use HTML, right? I mean, we are going to code, right? Code කරන්න යන්නේ. There should be a place to code, right? අපිට මේ code type කරන්න මොකක් හරි තියෙන්න ඕනේ තැන, right? There should be a place. There should be some application to do that, right? So for that, I am going to use Sublime Text, right? So that is Sublime Text, right? Sublime Text, right? So you can find it in chat, Sublime Text Stream, right? When you Google it, you can see some structure, right? This is structure of HTML. So in HTML, we have a document. In HTML, we are going to have some tags. We are calling these things tags, right? අපි tag කියලා තමයි මේවට කියන්නේ. In HTML, we are doing all the things inside this HTML. Yeah, you can get it from internet. When you click on Sublime Text, there is a small application, right? You can download it, then you can install it into your machine.
Okay.
Right. So then you can double click on that, and you will get this kind of interface, right? So you can go to the file and new file. You can get new file, right? So I will discuss about the structure of HTML. We are doing all the things inside the tags in HTML, and all the things inside this HTML, right? I will just explain this, and I will tell you how to do that, right? And in HTML, we have a head and table body, page body. Inside the head, we can have title, meta tag, like those. In the body, we can have several tags: a h1, anchor tag, heading tag, and paragraph tags. There are so many tags, right? So this is just for your information, right? Okay. So now I will take new page, right? First thing is we have to save this file as HTML file. Okay. When you are going to save this file, there are two important things. First thing is we have to save this file as the HTML file. That is the one. And the other one is the place where you going to save this file, right? The location of this file is very important, right? So first I'm going to save this file, right? File, save. Right. So then you have to go to the C partition, right? Then find the WAMP server, right? So you have to follow this direction, right? So first you have to go to the Windows C partition in your machine. Then you have to go to the inside the WAMP, right? I will double click on that. Then you have to go to inside this www, right? Okay. Then create a new folder, right? Inside this www, right? I will create it as the EEX3417, right? I have the same file now, right? So I have created that file. Okay. So click on that. Save your file inside this folder, right? So I will use you can use any file name, but I will use a lab sheet one, right? lab sheet asks us to save it as a okay, I will take it as a whole index, right? Right, I will save it as an index dot html, right? So remember your extension should be html, right? Okay, save it, right? Now we have saved it as html. Okay, then we can start coding, right? In HTML, we are using these brackets, right? These greater than, less than marks, right? So when you type HTML, right? That's why I asked you to use Sublime Text 3. So Sublime is one of the most common application that we can use to develop our web pages, right? So when we type some tags, it will give us suggestions, right? So you can click on that, right? It will show you the structure, right? So I will told you inside the in HTML we have all the things inside the HTML tag, and this HTML will divide it into mainly two, head and body, right? So here you can see head and body, right? Okay. Okay. Inside the head, I told you that we have title, right? So here you can see the title, right? So let's give a title, right? Let me check it with the lab sheet. Right. Okay. Let's give it as the add record student, right? Add student records, right? I will take it as add student record. When you make any changes in your code, you have to say, right? If you make any changes, you have to say, right? That is very important, right? Okay, let's open this and let's see the let's see our web page, right? Let me share my browser, right? This part is also very important, right? So you have to open this file very correctly, right? Otherwise you won't be able to do this thing correctly, right? So I will take new tab, right? Then you have to type right. You have to type localhost. Make sure to have correct spelling. Localhost, LOCALHOST, localhost slash, right? So then you have to give the correct folder name which you save your file, right? Then අපි යන්නේ අපි save කරපු අර අපේ web page එක open කරා. හරි. එතකොට මේ path එක හරියටම දෙන එක හරිම වැදගත්. මොකද අපි අපේ local host එකත් එක්ක අපේ local database එකත් එක්ක connect වෙලා තමයි මේක open කරන්න යන්නේ මොකද අපි data pass කරන්න යන නිසා. right. එතකොට අපි මෙතනදී URL එකේදී හරියටම file එකේ location එක දෙන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් ඔයාලට errors. පළවෙනියටම අපි type කරන්න ඕනේ URL එකේ localhost හරියටම spelling දෙන්න. localhost / මේ slash එකෙන් පස්සේ ඊළඟට දෙන්න ඕනි ඔයාගේ folder name එක. Okay, let me share my folder. දැන් අපි මම කිව්වා අපි file එක save කරේ Windows 3 එකේ XAMPP එකේ right මේ www කියන එක ඇතුලේ මේ EEX3417 කියන folder එක. right local මේක ඇතුළට ආවට පස්සේ ඔයාලට පේනවා index.html මගේ ෆයිල් එක තියෙනවා right after localhost / you have to give the correct folder name හරිද හරියම folder path file name folder name එක දෙන්න ඕනේ මම මේක මෙතනින් copy කරනවා folder name එක and then I will paste it here. right localhost folder name right then / your file name localhost your folder name inside your www folder right so in my case EEX3417 right then you have to or we have to give correct file name right so api file එක save kare index.html right so then press enter right so this is our web page right so we have done nothing right අපි web page එකේ ලොකු දෙයක් කරේ නැහැ අපි කරපු එකම දේ page එකේ title එක දීපු එක can you see our page title ඔයගලන්ට title එක පේනවද
Yes, ma'am.
yeah here you can see the student spelling mistake right page title right so I will go to my code right CUD right. So now we have to create our page right so you can see our page in the lab sheet right so today we are going to create our web page like this right first we have a heading and we are going to have some labels and some space to type our information and there is a button as well when you click on this button this data should go to the database අපි මේ web page එක create කරලා අපි මේ ඉස්සරහා තියෙන fields වලට මේ fields editable වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ fields වලට අපේ details ටික දීලා මේ submit කියන button එක press කරාම මේ data ටික ගිහිලා save වෙන්න ඕන අර අපි හදපු database එකේ ඒක තමයි අපි අද කරන්න යන්නේ දැනට අපි database එක හදලා ඉවරයි දැන් අපි මේ web page එක හදන එකේ තමයි ඉන්නේ හරි දැන් අපිට තියෙන්නේ මේ interface එක හදා ගන්න right let's see how can we do that right so we are doing the next part inside this body tag right oh inside the body tag I will open form right okay you have to open any when you're opening any tag in HTML at the same time remember to close that then in between these two tags you can start your code right inside the form, I'm going to have a table, right? E8L, right. So inside the table, I'm going to let me say like this. Okay. In a table, normally we have table heading, table row, table data. Table එකක් ගත්තාම අපිට table heading එකක් තියෙනවා, table rows තියෙනවා, table data තියෙනවා. Likewise, in HTML, we have some tags, table row, tr tag, table heading, th tag, table data, te tag, right? Likewise, we have some tags to represent those things, right? Using those things, I'm going to create the table, right? So let's take first table row, tr, right? So we have one table row. Okay, before doing that, let's have some heading, right? Okay, H2. Let's add same thing inside the web, right? So we are representing these things at which title. So let's display it in the our page as well, right? So in the first table row, in the lab, according to the lab sheet, it is doing that thing inside that. It doesn't matter, right? So I will start. Inside the table row, we can have table data, right? This is table row. Make table row එක td කියලා කියන්නේ table data එක, right? Our first table data is, right, that should be a student registration number, and there should be a space to type your registration number, right? Right. First thing is we are going to give our student registration number as a label, right? For that, we can have a label inside this table data. I will open another, right? So my label is student registration number. Let's say as the registration number. Yeah, I will. So since I made some changes in my code, I will save it, right? So let me share my browser. So when you making changes in your code, so you have to refresh your browser, right? So here you can see at student record and student registration number, right? So now there should be a space here to type your data, right? So let's add it. Sorry. For that, I will get another table data, right? Table data, sorry, table data, right? So inside that, I will take input. So here we are going to give some space to type, right? So our type is text, and you can give a name, right? Okay. This is also quite important, right? So remember the name you are given here, right? Name and ID, right? So I will use same thing as the name, same thing in your Likewise, I will add a ID for this input, right? Later on, we will use this name and ID to identify this text field, right? Later on, we are calling this regno in. When we call it, it will represent this line, right? So I will save this and I will share my browser again and I will refresh it. So here you can see there is a text box and editable, right? You can type whatever you want, right? So likewise, we can create our interface. So then we have to have another table row. Inside that table row, we
Excuse
can
me.
have, yes.
සර ටේබල් ඩේටා එකේ ඉන්පුට් කෑල්ල ඒ ටික තේරුන්නේ අර type text name id
ඒකෙදී දැන් අපි ඉන්පුට් එකක්නේ user input එකක් විදිහටනේ ගන්න යන්නේ value. දැන් අපි මෙතනින් කවුරු හරි දෙන values නේ අපි ගන්න යන්නේ. මේ ගන්න values නේ අපි database එකට දාන්න යන්නේ. ඒක නිසායි මෙතන මේ ගන්න එක input එකක් විදිහට ගන්න. දැන් අපි මේ web page එක හදන්නේ ඕනම කෙනෙක්ට ඇවිල්ලා එයාගේ information ටික මෙතනින් දීලා හරිද? එයාගේ information ටික මෙතනින් දීලා මේ button එක press කරාට පස්සේ එයා මෙතන මේ දෙන information ටික database එකේ store වෙනවා. හරිද? එතකොට මේ තියෙන එක අපි input එකක් විදිහට ගන්නෙ. input එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ වෙන කෙනෙක් දෙන value එකක්. පැහැදිලි?
හරි.
හරි. ඒක නිසායි අපි මෙතන input එකක් විදිහට ගන්නෙ. type එක text කියලා ගන්නෙ. එතන අපි text කියලා කියන්නේ මේ characters ම කියන එක නෙමෙයි, integer වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. එතන text කියලා කියන්නේ එතන තියෙන දැන් ඒක මෙහෙම HTML ඉතින් මෙතන types කීපයක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි text. text කිව්වොත් ඒක represent වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ. දැන් අපි අර දැක්කේ text කියන්නේ මෙතන ඕනම එකක් type කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. characters ද numbers ද ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක්. දැන් ආය මෙතන type එකක් තියෙනවා. අපි මෙතන කිව්වොත් type එක submit කියලා. right? ඒක මම save කරලා පෙන්නන්නම්. ඒක submit එකක් වුණොත් ඒක වැඩ කරන්නේ button එකක් විදිහට. ඒ වගේ HTML වලදී එක එක types තියෙනවා. input type මෙතනදී අපි use කරන්නේ text කියන එක. මොකද අපි මෙතන value එකක් අරගෙන database එකේ store කරන්න යන නිසා. අනිත් දේ තමයි අපි මෙතනදී මේ label එකට label එක කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේක label එක නෙමෙයි මේ input එකට අපි මේකට පස්සේ මොකක් හරි වැඩකට අපි මෙතන space එක ගැන කතා කරනවා. දැන් අපි මෙතන තියෙන data එක අපි database එකට යවන වෙලාවේදී අපි මෙයාට කතා කරන්නේ යාගේ නමෙන් හරි ID එකකින් හරි. ඒකයි අපි මෙතන නමක් ID එකක් දෙන්නේ. name එකක් ID එකක් දෙන්නේ for the future purpose. Right? Clear? Is that clear?
හරි මිස්.
Right. Then I'm moving to the second row, and inside that row I have table data and I have a label as well. Right. Next thing is we are going to get user student name. Right? STUD. So next thing is we should have a table data and we should have input as well. Type is text and you can give name. Our name is student name in. Right? I will use the same thing in your practical sheet. Right? So, and I will again use ID as well. it is very important to have these brackets and double quotation, all the things, right? So here we are opening, here we have our TD inside open close, and when you open it, remember to close, right? Otherwise you will get errors. Let me write me. So I am having errors. Right? If you have any errors in HTML in Sublime Text, it will highlight it, right? So if you in your page, if you can see some highlighted area, which means you have the error nearby, near this highlighted area, right? Okay. So I will save this and I will show you the browser. Right. So now we have had 2 records. Now we can add 2 records, right? Right. Likewise, let me add other. So I will take another table row. Inside that, I will have a table data, and inside that, another label. Next label for the date of birth, right? Date of birth. So then let's have another table data and input. Type is text, and I will copy name and ID from the lab sheet, right? When you give a name and ID inside the input, right? Please make sure that there is no space. If it is like this won't work, right? And you cannot have hash or some what we call hyphen or something, right? If you want to have something, you can have underscore, right? Okay. And next thing is we should have a ID as well. So now we have 3 fields. Next thing is and label. This label for what? Gen. Label data and import type is text. I will copy the likewise we can give so next field is address. Right. Label data, right? Type text and yes and ID. Next thing is our last field, that is for telephone number. And table, right? Text. Right. So now we have created our web page, right? At the beginning, we have to do three things. We have to create database, we have to create our web page, and then we have to create a relationship between database and the web page. Now we have done two things. We created our database and we created our web page as well. Right. I will show the outputs, right? You have to refresh your browser. Right. So now, one more thing to do. Right. I forgot to add the submit button here. Right. Let me add that as well. Right. So now we have some fields to add our information as well. Right. So let me add that button as well. Right. I just forget to do. Right. After table, right? This BR tag means we are having line break, right? I will add an input, right? So now you know the type of this button. Can you remember?
Submit.
Yeah, submit. Right. So and no need to have a name here. Let's have a value, right? So value means the thing you want to represent in the button, right? I will sub and save it, and let me share my browser and refresh it. Right. So you can see now we have these things and we have a button. Right. Okay. Now almost we have. Okay, now we have created our web page as well. Do you have any questions so far?
Hello, Miss.
Yes.
Miss, මේ date of birth එකේ මේ pattern එකක් තියෙන මොකක් කරේ?
Oh, මෙතනදී SQL එකට දෙනකොට එයා ගන්නේ year එක. Year dash month එක dash date. මේ pattern එකට දුන්නොත් විතරයි එයා ගන්නේ, නැත්නම් errors එනවා.
Okay, Miss.
Right.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
Exam එකේ මේ procedure එකම දයන්නේ.
Oh, exam එකේ මෙතන oh මේ විදිහටම තමයි ඒක display වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අර ඒකේ අර open exam එකේ instructions ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙනවා මේ Moodle එකේ. ඒක අර open කරගන්න විදිහ තමයි විතරයි පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. ඒකත් එනවා මෙතනට. එතන ඒක double click කරාම මෙතන මේ මෙහෙම window එකක් open වෙන්නේ. ඒකේ screenshots එක ඔක්කොම දීලා තියෙනවා. මම හිතන්නේ මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණොත් Moodle එකේ discussion forum එකේ දාන්න. මම reply කරන්න.
Okay, thank
ඒ
you.
කියන්නේ මේක example එක open වුණාට පස්සේ ඔක්කොම මේ වගේ. අර open කරගන්න interface එක විතරයි වෙනස්.
Hi.
හරි. Right. Right. So now we have database and we have web page. So now yeah, you can change combo box. Yeah, you can have a checkbox or radio button or whatever thing you want as a gender, but when you have it like that, there will be small differences. How to get records from the radio button likewise. So here we are going to get, in here we are going to tell you how to do it as much as simple. But you can do that using checkbox or radio button, right? That is possible. Right. I think I talking about the LAB03 test. Still, I don't know about, right? You can contact course coordinator for more information about the LAB03 test, right? Okay. Right. Okay, let's make a relationship between this web page and this database, right? So when I'm discussing these things, I told you that we are going to use PHP to connect these two, right? අපි PHP තමයි use කරන්නේ මේ web page එකයි database එකයි connect කරන්න. හරි. ඕගොල්ලන්ට I think you can remember how we access this database. When you click on the database here at the this up arrow, when you click on this, right? And when you go to the PHP MyAdmin, you got some message, right? Asking about username and password. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So likewise, when you are going to create a relationship between this HTML and the web database, we have to give the username password for the local database. Then we should tell what is the database that we want to access, and then so here you can see we are going to insert so this interface we are going to insert database data to student table. Is that clear? So using this table, this interface, we can insert student information to this table. Is that clear? ඒක පැහැදිලි නේද? අපිට මේ table මේ interface එකෙන් data insert කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ student table එකට කියන එක. ඒක පැහැදිලි ඉන්නේ. මොකද මේ fields නේ අපි මෙතන අරන් තියෙන්නේ. ඒක පැහැදිලි නේද? Yes, right. Okay. So right. So I was telling Yeah, I was telling that we have to tell what is the username and password for password to access this PHP MyAdmin. Then we have to tell which database you are going to access, which is in student info, and then we have to tell that which table you are going to use. In this case, we are going to use this student table to store values, right? Likewise, we have to tell it in our code, right? Let's see how can we do that, right? Okay, let me move to my Sublime text, right? For that, I will take another new file, right? Okay, file, new file, right? So very first thing is we have to save this file. I told you that we are going to use PHP, right? So we have to save this file as a PHP file, right? So you can save this file save, or keyboard keyword control S, right? So we have to save this file same place where you save your index.html file, right? So we save it inside the local your C partition. We saved it in C and WAM server, WAM, and inside the www, I create a folder EEX3417. So inside that we can save, right? I will save this file as a let's say db, right? Okay, I have already. Okay, let's save it as a save, and you have to save it as a PHP, right? So your file name dot PHP, right? Then save your file. It will save as a PHP file, right? Now in PHP, we are doing all the things inside PHP tag, right? So this is the opening tag of the PHP, and then this is the close, right? So in between these two, we can start our coding, right? First thing is, I told you that we have to access our local database, right? So first I will create a variable, right? So in PHP, you can use $sign to create a variable, right? My variable name is $const, right? So if you have $sign inside any name, which means that is a variable, right? So in different language, we are using different ways to create a variables and all those things, right? So in here, we are using $sign to create a variable. Right. First thing is, we have to create the server connection, right? So for that, you can use MySQLi dot underscore connect, right? So inside this MySQLi underscore connect, we should mention, right, our log database. We should mention localhost username and password for the local host and the database name, right? So in here we should pass 4 parameters, right? So first thing is the location. So we are using localhost, right? Localhost. So our database, we are using local database, right? Local server. So this is server. So comma, then you have to tell the username for the access to username to access this local server, right? So I told you I use root as a username. So I don't have any password. So you can keep it as a blank. Then we have to mention the database name, right? So what is our database name?
Student info.
Right. Since I don't want to get any spelling mistake, I will copy paste it, right? So, and right. So now I have given all the connection information here. And one more thing, in PHP, we are using semicolon to represent the line name, right? So then I want to have some, I want to check that if I correctly log into this local server, I want to print, I want to print that connection established correctly, right? Otherwise, I want to display the error, right? Okay. For that, I will use if condition, right? If I will take this variable as my condition, right? So if it could access localhost and give the correct username password, and if it could access the database, right? I want to print, right? If this, let's say if I couldn't connect this correctly, right? So then I want to print the error message. For that, I will use die. In PHP, we can use die to get some errors, right? Die. I want to print die and let's say what is in the practical could not connect, right? Let's say like that. Could not connect. Then I want to display the error, right? So therefore I will call MySQL underscore error method, right? That is already given message from my MySQL error, right? So then semicolon for the line n, right? So if we couldn't access the local server and couldn't find that in database, it will display an error, right? So then if I could do, I want to print, let's print it as lab sheet, congrats, connection established successfully, right? I will copy that part, right? So okay, I want, can you tell me in C which keyword, which keyword used to print something in C?
Printf.
Right, we used printf to print something. So likewise, in PHP, we can use echo to print something, right? This is the keyword that you can use to print something in PHP, right? So echo, A-E-C-H-O, right? Right, semicolon for the line name. Okay. Then that should be double. Right. So now we have, let's say, sorry, let's say now we have inside our database, right? Then we have to pass user entered information into that student table, right? So there is something we called SQL queries, right? To insert data into the table, right? So I will use another variable after that, right? I will use $SQL, right? So this is my variable. I will assign that. Okay. Then we have to pass user entered data into the student table, right? For that, we have to use MySQL queries. To insert data, we can use insert query, right? This is something new, right? Right? Try to figure out. Right. Insert query will start, right? IN insert into, right? So you can use this thing as it is, right? Insert into, right? So then you have to mention the correct table name, the place where you going to store data, right? So in this case, we are going to store our data in student table. Is that clear? Right? We are going to store our data in student table, right? So insert into, then you should mention your table name. My table name is student, student, right? So insert into your table name, right? Student, right? Then you have to mention what are the fields, right? The fields that you are going to use, right? Then to represent the table field, you can open the bracket here, right? Inside this bracket, you can give the correct table fields, right? I will copy that field from the database I created, right? Because I don't want to get any spelling mistake. First field is student registration number, right? Comma, and second field student name, third one student DOB, and next thing student gender, and student address. Last thing student telephone number. Right. You can copy these fields from your database, right? Because we don't want to get any spelling mistake, right? That's why we use copy paste here, right? Okay, now I have telling that I'm going to insert user entered data into the student table. So what are the table fields? Student registration number, student name, student date of birth, student date gender, student address, student telephone number, right? After mentioning that, right? So we have to pass web page data here. We have to get web page data to, we have to map, right? That's the correct term. We have to map, right? Let's say, okay. So if user entered registration number here, I want to get this value and I want to map that value into this table here. And I want to get the student name and I want to map that value here. Likewise, we want to map this web page values to database values. Is that clear? Right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. So that now I am going to map those two, right? For that, right, I'm going to have values. Sorry, values. Right. We are going to get these value from, I told you that we can get value from this input, right? I will tell you how to do that. Right. In PHP, there are two methods to get value from HTML to PHP, right? One way is we can have post method. The other way is we can have get method, right? So today we are going to use this post method to get HTML value into PHP page, right? So therefore, inside this form, we should mention that, right? So we should mention that the method of this form is equal to method of this form is equal to PRST, right? Okay. Now we are going to use post method to get value from this HTML to database, right? in here, we are using method first, right? When it comes to the PHP, we can have it as a $_post. $_post, right? Right. So you have to open the bracket and inside the inside this post method, we should give the correct ID, right? So first ID is first value is student registration number, right? So we have to pick student registration number ID, right? I will copy this and inside the scare bracket, right? $_post. Inside the scare bracket, you can give the ID, right? So then we are going to the next part. Next thing is we have to give the values for the student name. For that also we can use $_post within the square bracket. You can map student name ID, right? I will copy it and paste it. Then comma. Again, we have to map student date of birth. Go to the index page and copy the index input ID, copy it and paste it inside the square bracket. Likewise, you can map your HTML to database, right? $_post. Right? And next thing is gender and paste it here and $_post within square bracket. We have to map address. Right? I will copy the input address ID, paste it here, comma, $_post, and last thing, ID of the telephone number and paste it here, right? So then we have to close that normal bracket, so which I opened here. Right. I will get this into this right. So now we have mapped it, right? Right. I will do one small change. I want to print congrats this line, and after printing that, I want to do this table mapping, right? Right. Then, okay, let's check if that, let's check whether if we have insert value to that table or not, right? For that, I also, again, I will use if condition, right? Using if condition, I'm going to check whether we have insert this value to our database or not, right? For that, first I will use not equal part, right? I will use not equal MySQL I query. Let's go query. Inside this, I will pass database connection and this SQL, right? I will pass these values, right? These two parameters, comma, $, right? Since I am going to catch my errors, I will use die and I will display error. Then MySQL, right? It will display the error. If not, I want to print that one record added, right? So to print that, we can use echo. Let's say records were added successfully. Right. Then, after doing all the things, we should close this connection, right? First, we access this database, then we are going to close that database after doing all the things, right? So to close the database, you can use MySQL _close. And we are going to close the connection, right? And semicolon. Right. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. It is almost done, right? But we have to do one more thing. That is, we have to create a relationship between these two pages as well. This is separate page and this is a separate page, right? So to create the relationship between these two pages, right? Right. Inside the form, we can call action, right? Inside this action double quotation, you can give the PHP file, right? So my PHP file name is save.php, right? So now we have create our HTML page. We have our database. Now we have created a relationship between this PHP page to database, and again we create a link between this HTML and PHP. Right. We have done all the things. Now we have to
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes, I haven't closed it. Yes.
For the echo, it should be double quotation, right? Above MySQL close.
Yeah. Thank you. So I have forget to close this PHP, right? I have to forget. I have to close it. But at the beginning I did it. Okay, right. Let's see whether let's see whether it is working or not, right? Okay. Right. Right, I will refresh this. Right. Okay, I will give, okay, first let's check our database, right? Here, this is our table, right? This is our database and this is our table, right? Inside this table, we don't have any records yet, right? So I'm going to give some records here and I'm going to press the submit. After submitting that, I want to get that values to here, right? Let's check whether this application is working or not, right? Okay. When you're going to give some values, you have to remember the structure of our values. Student registration number int 4, SC name in Vacha 45, date of birth in date, gender in char, which means 1 character, address and telephone, right? Remember those things and let's add value, right? I will give 1, 2, 3, 4 as a registration number and I will use one of your name and database. Remember, you have to give correct format, right? So you have to give the year, right? Let's say 1998 dash and month, let's say 5 and date. Okay, let's 17, right? And gender, you have to give the 1 character because we use char, right? So address, let's say Colombo, right? And telephone number, you can use 10 valid. 0, 1. So, okay. I will press submit button, right? Okay, let's see. Right. Okay. I'm getting message. Congrats. Connection establishes successfully. Records were added successfully. Right? Let's go to the web database and let's refresh your database. Right. Let's see. Right. We have done it, right? So I add my values from here, right? So then those values using the submit, I pass this value to database. So now I have those values in my database. So is that clear? Is that clear? Right. So do you have any questions?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, each time we enter a record using that GUI, we need to come back to this database and refresh it.
Sorry.
Let's say that if we had like 10 records at once, so can we do like that, or else after each record, do we need to come to this local database and refresh it?
No, yeah, you have to do it one by one. in this program, you cannot do that, but there are some more ways to do. You can add more than one record at a time, but in this case, you have to add one record and you can submit. Then you have to come back to this interface. Again, you have to submit, but no need to refresh at this database when you, let's say, for the first, let's say you are at first record, then you can, after submitting your values, you can again add another value. No need to refresh this, but you have to add records one by one.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Ma'am, is it necessary to use double quotes on in PHP? Why can't you use single quote?
I think both are working. Are you talking about this echo, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can use either single or double.
Okay.
Questions? Please try this, right? So I think this is very important thing to you because you have to do your mini project, right? So for your mini project, you can use same concept, right?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, to type those HTML files, can't we use Notepad?
Yeah, you can use Notepad. You can use any text editor like Notepad, Notepad++, Atom. There are so many, but I recommend you to use Sublime Text because you saw that when I am typing when I start typing any code, right? Let's say it will suggest all the tags available for the HTML. So when you used it, it will very easy for you to do this. That's why I suggest, but you can use Notepad. It doesn't matter.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, and another small problem. Here, ma'am, are the two HTML files linked? How is it linked? That PHP one and this HTML one?
I didn't get you. Can you say it again?
Here, ma'am, this HTML, this file index.html file and save.php file is linked. No? How is it linked?
Yeah, inside the form, you can have action. Inside the action, you have to give the correct PHP file name with file extension .php as this extension should be included.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Excuse me, madam, can you scroll down a little bit?
Right. You can find all this code in your lab sheet, right? Don't worry.
Okay, ma'am.
After we submit the record, if the record is not clear from which means so here we have to use some functionalities to clear our, after submitting this we have to clear, so we haven't done anything to clear these records, so you can search it and you can do it, right? There are several ways to clear this record. You can use one of them. This is not yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. Here, ma'am, what we are doing is entering the details. So in order to see the details, we need to go to the database. Then, ma'am, now in our textbook, they have given a question to write the code to add, delete, and update records. Then, ma'am, in the case of deletion, we need to see the records in this view itself. No? then is there some other method so that we can display it in the same GUI itself?
Let's say for that, let's say you want to delete particular student, right? Let's say that student registration number is 1234. In that case, you can have another button like search, right? There is a SQL query search. You can use that to. What you have to do is you can give the student registration number. According to this registration number, you are going to get all the information here, right? So I'm giving the student registration number, then I will press search button here. Then it will display all the records for particular student. So then you can click on the delete. Then it will delete all the records according to the registration number. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Then ma'am, for update also the same method we can use.
Yeah, there is another SQL query table update. So you can use that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I'm not sure about the time, but as soon as possible, we will upload the record to the Moodle. Right. Any questions? We want to record. Yeah. Let's say if you want to add records, right? You have to open the local database. I mean, you have to double click on the WAMSA van, and I told you that green icon, that icon should be green, right? So then if it is green, then you can open this browser, I mean, web page using correct URL, right? So it is like this. Then you can add any number of records. But remember, this registration number is our primary key, therefore it cannot be duplicated, right? So you have to have different records, right? And let's say it's a female and address and you can sub, right? So again, no worries, you can change this and you can add in student name and you can submit it. No need, if you want, you can go to the database and refresh your database and you can see all the values in your tab. Actually, I don't have any idea about the test date. You have to contact course coordinator.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Another small problem. Ma'am, that student registration number, did you give auto number or?
No, I didn't give any auto number. I just, it's manual.
Then ma'am, if we give auto number, then will the registration number automatically be inserted there?
Yeah, but that is not possible. Yeah, that is, we can do, that is not practical. I mean, so let's say if this is for at the way when you are coming to the university, that's okay. But this is not practical for the registered one. I mean, so let's say I'm going to use this system to student who already registered for 3417. In that case, we cannot have auto incrementing, which means you come and you have to fill your registration number. And then again, I don't know whether it is after your student, after your, I mean, the next student should be a correctly incremented value. I mean, next, let's say your registration number is 1234, right? If it is auto increment, next value is 1235, right? So we cannot make sure that the second student have the exact registration number 1235. In that case, we cannot have that. Did you get what I'm telling you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, then so that now this is the table we created using that students table and the other table now. But if we consider the main table, student table, the first one we are creating, then there we can have auto number, no? For the student registration number.
Very first time, if you are going to do this, you can have the auto increment.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, any questions? So those are the things that I want to discuss today, and that's all for the lab 3, right? So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, let's wind up the session.
Excuse me, Miss.
Yes.
Miss, අර අන්තිම ලැප් එක 12 වෙනින්ද දාලා තියෙනවා. 6 වෙනින්ද මේ මාසේ.
lab
මිස්
2.
ඔව් මිස් එදාට මට කැට්ටයක් තියෙනවා මිස්.
කැට් පටන් ගන්න 26න් පස්සේ.
නෑ මිස් මට $1 කැට්ටයක් තියෙනවා.
12 නෑ කැට් පටන් ගන්න 26න් පස්සේ නේ.
නෑ මිස් මට
mock exam miss.
තේරුණා නෑ.
9 ඉඳන් කැට් තියෙනවා මිස්.
මම ඉඳලා තියෙනවා
මිස්. mock exam කියලා තියෙන්නේ.
can you
inform කලින් තියෙන්නේ.
course coordinator inform කරනවද? නීල් සර්?
okay miss.
Any questions?
Madam, the primary key එක හැම වෙලේම unique වෙන්න
Hello,
ඕනේ.
excuse me. Hello, excuse me, miss.
Yes.
එතකොට නම් දැන් අපි අතන මේ කලින් marks table එකේදී year එකත් primary key එකක් විදිහට දුන්නානේ.
ඔව්.
එතකොට අපි හිතන්නකෝ එක ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් ඇඩ් කරලා ඒ ස්ටුඩන්ට් එකම අවුරුද්දේ course දෙකක marks දාන්න ඕනේ කියලා. එතකොට year එක duplicate වෙනවනේ.
එතනදී primary උනාට ඒක වැඩ කරන්න composite නිසා ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා. එතන ඒ year එක වැඩ කරන්නේ composite එකට කියලා. ඉතින් මොකද යනවා වෙන කොහෙවත් table එක primary key වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
Thank you.
Hello, excuse me, miss. Hello.
Yes.
මිස් මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ මේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකට දාලා නෙමේ මේ මගේ මිස් අර learn yourself වෙබ් පේජ් එකේ මිස් මේ updates upcoming events මොනවත් පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ මට ඒ ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් දැනගන්න පුළුවන්ද මොකක් හරි ඒ සම්බන්ධව මොකක්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා
ඔයාට access තියනවද learner cell එකට?
hello
learner cell එකට access තියනවද ඔයාට?
ඒ කිව්වේ මිස්
ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ Moodle class එකට ඔයාට log වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද?
මම learn OS එකට log වෙන්න පුළුවන් මිස්
ඔව්.
access කියන්නේ මිස් මේ
courses
නෑ මිස් එහෙම නෙමෙයි මම කියන්නේ දැන් අර learn OSL page එකට අපිට log වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ අපේ අර login detail දීලා මේ username එකයි password එකයි දීලා එහෙම log වුණාම දැන් අර අපි පෙන්නනවානේ මේ course අපි මේ අවුරුද්දේ අරන් තියෙන courses ඒ courses වල මොනවාක්වත් මේ upcoming events මට මේ update වෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ මගේ page එකට මේ මට එතනයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ දැන් මේ දවස්වල මේ zoom lectures මේවා යනවනේ ඒ මොනවාක්වත් මට මේ
ඒක මේ එහෙම නම් ඔයා ඒකේ course coordinator ඉන්නවනේ
update විදියට
course වල එක course coordinator email එකක් දාන්න මෙහෙම ඔයාට updates වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. එතකොට එයා check කරලා බලන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ course එකේ coordinator ඉන්නවනේ.
මේ ඔක්කොම courses වලට නේද මිස්? ඔව් හරි. individually courses හැම එකටමනේ. හරි thank you.
Okay. If you don't have any questions, shall I wind up the session?
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
Madam, අරද මේ ජූන් 20 තියෙනවා නේද madam මේ අපේ TMA assignment එකේ පළවෙනි submission එක? ඒක කොහොමද ඒ date එක එදාම තියනවාද madam? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ CAT exam හින්දා ඒකට බලපෑමක් නැද්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක
හරියටම CAT පටන් ගන්න 26න් පස්සේ නිසා 20 තියෙනවා නම් postpone වෙන එකක් නැති වෙයි බොහෝ දුරට. එහෙම postpone වෙනවා නම් inform කරන්න කලින්. මම හිතන්නේ නැහැ.
තවත් date එකක් තියෙනවා madam 27 වෙනිදාත් එකක්. ඒතකොට ඒක කොහොමද දන්නේ නැහැ නේද?
ඒවා නම් course coordinator එක්ක තමයි කතා කරගන්න වෙන්නේ. මොකද මම
Okay madam.
Okay, shall I wind up the session?